The human prisoner had been brought into the throne chamber in chains, bloodied but unbroken. He was the last survivor of the skirmish along the orbital belts, where the Dracari fleets had crushed a forward Terran outpost. He expected torture, interrogation, maybe execution. What he did not expect was the Queen. She sat upon a throne carved from obsidian-like stone, armored but regal, her long limbs folded gracefully, her eyes glowing with an alien bioluminescence. Her skin shimmered in shades of violet and silver, shifting like the surface of a star seen through water. Her crown was not gold but a crown of spines, organic, grown, fused into her skull. Her voice was soft, low, with a strange tremor that cut through the harsh atmosphere of the court. "Human," she said, her words translated by the hall's biolattice. "I have one question for you." The human, Captain Elias Rourke, straightened despite the shackles biting into his wrists. "Ask it." The Queen leaned forward. The hall grew utterly silent. Dozens of alien eyes, her warriors, her court, waited, certain she would demand military secrets or bargains for his species. But she whispered instead. "Am I ugly to you?" Elias blinked, caught entirely off guard. He almost thought it was a trap. His instincts screamed caution. But the Queen's gaze was steady, vulnerable in a way no warrior should have been. And, against all protocol, against reason, he laughed. Not mocking, not cruel, but a deep, unrestrained laugh that echoed off the chamber walls. The Queen stiffened. The court murmured in shock. None had ever dared laugh at their ruler. But Elias only shook his head. "Ugly? Well, you're terrifying, strange, alien beyond words, but ugly." He let out another chuckle. "That word doesn't even fit." For the first time, the Queen's expression shifted, uncertain, almost fragile. And that was where everything began to change. Middle. A queen's insecurity. Her name was Queen Serethis, sovereign of the Dracari Dominion, conqueror of 12 systems. To her people, she was perfection incarnate, tall, radiant, biologically superior. Yet the Dracari, for all their martial power, lived under a hidden shadow. Their genetic line had been sculpted for war, optimized for strength, but in the process, much of what humans would call beauty had been erased. Serethis had always wondered, were they grotesque to others? Did her enemies see only monsters in her kind? When Elias laughed, not cruelly but warmly, it broke something in her carefully constructed armor. For the first time, someone had answered her question without politics, without fear. "You dare mock the Queen?" one of her generals barked, stepping forward, blade in hand. Serethis raised a single clawed hand. "Leave him." Her voice was trembling, though no one dared to mention it. Later, when the court had dispersed, she summoned him privately. "You did not answer like others would," she said. "I don't play games," Elias replied. "You wanted the truth, didn't you? And you truly do not find me hideous," she pressed. Elias tilted his head, studying her in the softer glow of her private chamber. Without the harshness of the throne room, she looked different, alien still, but there was a symmetry in her features, a strange grace in the way her bioluminescent markings pulsed faintly with her heartbeat. "I've seen war machines tear planets apart. I've seen humans do monstrous things. Ugly." Elias shrugged. "Beauty's not about what you're shaped like. It's about what you are." Serethis went silent for a long time. Her people worshipped her for her strength. But never, never had someone spoken to her like that. Captive or guest. Days passed. Elias remained in the palace, technically still a prisoner, yet his chains were removed. Guards shadowed him, but Serethis sought him often. Their conversations were strange, dissonant, an alien queen speaking of doubt, a human soldier answering with humor, with brutal honesty. She asked him about humanity, about how humans chose leaders not for genetic superiority but through chaos, through politics, through ideals. And they respect them? Sarathis asked, incredulous. Sometimes, Elias smirked. Sometimes they throw them out. Sometimes they hate them. Sometimes they worship them. Depends on the day. Your kind is reckless, she murmured. Yet, alive in ways we are not. In turn, Elias asked her why she ruled through conquest. It is what we are designed for, she said simply. War is written in our bones. Dominion is survival. And yet, Elias said, you care what an enemy soldier thinks of your face. That silenced her again. The turning point. One night, Sarathis led Elias to the gardens, an expanse of alien flora glowing under twin moons. The bioluminescent plants mirrored the markings on her own skin. Do you know why I asked you that question? She said quietly. I have a feeling you'll tell me, Elias said. When I was hatched, she began, my brood sister said I was flawed. My markings were uneven. My crown was too sharp. I learned to crush them with strength so they could not crush me with words. I became queen through blood. And yet, she looked up at the moons. The whisper remains. That I am monstrous. That my face inspires only fear. Elias studied her profile. The way the silver patterns pulsed like constellations. You're not monstrous, he said softly. You're intimidating. There's a difference. Her gaze snapped to him. And if I asked again if I am ugly, what would you say? Elias smiled faintly. I'd say you're a hell of a lot easier to look at than most admirals I've served under. For a moment, the mighty queen of the Drakkari laughed, a sound none of her people had ever heard. It was not cruel, not mocking. It was alive, ending, a dangerous affection. The bond between them did not go unnoticed. Her generals grew restless, whispering that the queen was compromised, distracted by her strange fascination with a human. Some plotted to remove Elias, others to challenge Sarathis herself. When assassination struck, poison in the queen's chalice, Elias was the one who noticed first, knocking it from her hand. You saved me, she whispered in shock as guards dragged away the traitor. You're the only one keeping me alive here, Elias said dryly. If you go, I go. But Sarathis heard more in his words. Something unspoken. Something her people could never give her. The question that changed everything. On the eve of her next campaign, as her fleet gathered, she asked him once more. Alone in her chamber, crown set aside, markings glowing faintly. Elias, when you look at me now, what do you see? He looked at her for a long time. Not as a queen, not as an alien, but as someone who, beneath all the armor, just wanted to know if she could be seen as more than a weapon. I see someone who could terrify the galaxy, Elias said finally. Then softer. And someone who doesn't need to be alone doing it. Her breath caught. No general had ever dared speak to her like that. No one had ever dared see her like that. For the first time in Drakkari history, the queen hesitated before war. Not because of fear, but because of the possibility of something else. A different kind of future. The war would not end overnight. The Drakkari would not lay down their arms for a single human's words. But the queen, once driven by conquest alone, had begun to question. And it began not with treaties, not with weapons, not with bloodshed. It began with a question whispered in doubt. Am I ugly? And a human's laughter, unafraid, unbroken.